Hey up guys! So today's movie up for discussion is the newest film from Kevin Macdonald, the chap who gave us The Last King of Scotland. His latest film is called The Mauritanian, which is an adaptation of the novel called Guantanamo Diary, a New York Times bestseller which was written by Mohamedou Slahi, who is the Mauritanian of the title. Slahi's story is gobsmacking. He spent 14 years in Guantanamo Bay detained by the US government because they suspected him of being a recruiter and organizer of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, allegedly. He was finally freed in 2016, but never charged with a single crime. I mean, that scares me that the United States could detain someone for that long, but when you factor in the 14 years and not being charged with a single crime, and then you see what was actually done to him whilst he was in custody in Guantanamo Bay, it's enough to make you feel physically sick. Tahar Rahim stars in this as Mohamedou. This is a dramatization of what happened to him whilst he was in Guantanamo Bay. Whilst he's being detained, the US government is trying to build a case against Slahi, with Colonel Stuart Couch, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, leading the prosecution. Couch actually knew somebody on board one of the planes during the 9/11 hijacking, so he does have a personal vendetta and motive to find out who committed this heinous act of terrorism. However, Slahi is assigned defense lawyer Nancy Hollander, played by Jodie Foster, and her colleague Teri Duncan, played by Shailene Woodley, to try and get Slahi out of Guantanamo Bay. So what did I think of The Mauritanian? Well, there were parts of it that I really liked, and there were also parts of it that I wasn't so keen on. But let's talk positives first, starting with performances. Tahar Rahim is excellent as Slahi. It's a performance that definitely would have required a lot of him, both physically and psychologically. The stuff that his character goes through is just barbaric. But Rahim still manages to maintain your sympathy all the way through. Jodie Foster is also great as Nancy Hollander. It could have been very easy for her to steal focus in this film, but she graciously allows others to have the spotlight, whilst also making an impact as this defense lawyer. This is probably my favorite Jodie Foster performance I've seen since, like, Flight Plan. Shailene Woodley is remarkably ordinary in this film. I think her character was slightly underbaked, but she's still good in it. Benedict Cumberbatch. Don't get me wrong, I like Cumberbatch. I just think he might have been a bit miscast as Couch, because the film addresses some really serious topics like wrongful imprisonment, duress, and mistreatment of detainees, etc. And when you've got a renowned British thespian like Benedict Cumberbatch doing a very Southern American accent, it almost comes across as a bit exaggerated, maybe even a little bit comical. So it's a little distracting, but it also undercuts the seriousness of the film. But maybe that's just me. If you guys have seen The Mauritanian, let me know what you thought of Benedict Cumberbatch's accent in this. Did you think it was on point? Did you think it was distracting? Everything, let me know in that comment section down below. For me, I've always had a little bit of an issue when Cumberbatch tries to do American accents. The worst culprit is when he does that Southern Boston accent in Black Mass. Also, if you guys are enjoying this video, please do help me out by hitting that like button. Going back to the serious subject matter, I have to applaud Kevin Macdonald's gumption and handling of the sequence where Slahi is subjected to such mistreatment by the hands of his captors. While it does feel like he might have been holding back a little, it's still extremely uncomfortable to watch. Slahi experienced 70 straight days of duress. They tried everything they could to break him and coerce a false confession out of him, from extreme isolation to sexual throttling to waterboarding to sleep deprivation to stress positions. The editing in this scene is also expertly done. It cuts back and forth from the torture to the reactions of Nancy and Stuart learning this information. Their reactions really do sell the shock and disgust of what happened to Slahi. It's a scary realization when you see the supposed good guys going to such cruel methods to try and get answers out of people who might not even be the culprits or accountable for such crimes. When you think about it, there's monsters on both sides. And one more thing that this film deserves praise for is that it does keep the focus on Slahi's story. This could have very easily turned into a white savior story where Jodie Foster saves the day. Thankfully, this isn't that movie. As for negatives, I did think some of the dialogue was a bit stilted. The one that I wrote down, which I thought was a little bit iffy, was, "This dude is the Al-Qaeda Forrest Gump. Everywhere you look, he's there." Okay. There's also times where it gets a little bit on the nose, like this scene in a church where Stuart is having a literal crisis of faith, trying to decide what to do with Slahi. And the passage that they're all collectively reading in church is all about doing the right thing and being the righteous man. For me, I just thought that was a bit much. And Tom Hodges' score I found a touch melodramatic in places. It's like it's screaming at you to tell you how you should feel in the sad moments. Could have been a bit softer or a bit subtler. It didn't need to be as imposing. So let's ask those 3 questions. First of all, would I watch this again? I'm glad I've seen The Mauritanian, but I don't think it's a film I'll ever want to watch twice. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? I do, but it's definitely not for everybody because there is some harrowing scenes in this. If you're not a fan of like torture scenes, this definitely isn't for you. But it is a totally made and powerful film with mostly good performances. So I do think it is worth watching. And third question, what score do I give it out of 10? The Mauritanian is a pretty decent film. There's just a few things about it which felt a little off to me. So I'm going to give it a score of 6 out of 10. But as always, guys, it's just one bloke's opinion. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you've seen The Mauritanian, what do you think of it? Do you think it's got any Oscars chances? Whatever you have to say, let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please do help my channel out by hitting that thumbs up button. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to click subscribe. If you want to follow me on any social media, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, all those links are in that video description down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time.